Montag lieben Glauben Globen.
Alright. I got something to say. Yeah. It's better to burn out. Yeah. Than fade away.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, Mr. Omoto.
Let's start off today's class with a fun joke. Why am I like a migrant worker? Say why.
Why?
Because I don't get paid enough and I don't have a full-time job. Today we will be learning about migrant workers and tenant farmers in 1930s California. Does anyone know what a migrant worker is? Yes.
Well, Mr. Omoto, a migrant worker is a person who moves from place to work. They are required to be absent from a permanent place of residence for the purpose of keeping agricultural work and employment. Many of the farmers, also farmers, have seasonal work.
Wonderful answer. How about a tenant farmer? Cornelius.
Well, Mr. Omoto, tenant farmers were at the bottom of the agricultural ladder. It was a way for life for most farmers. They usually pay landowners rent for farmland and a house. The tenant farmers paid with cash or a position of produce.
That's right, Cornelius. Does anyone know why those workers came to California? Anyone besides Cornelius? Mabel. Huh?
After the Civil War, agriculture became increasingly the center of business enterprises rather than family farms. During the Great Depression, many people moved to California to work on farms, which was the only real industry at the time. Severe droughts and dryness also caused joblessness when families could not produce its usual harvest.
Good job, Mabel. That's correct. Give Mabel a hand. Right. Okay, next question.
Oh. Money!
Mr. Michael Jordan, what are you doing and why are you late?
Just some late night studying, sir.
Well, since you were studying all night, what was the cause of the Great Depression?
The stock market crash of October 29. Boom!
Wow, surprisingly that was correct. How did this event affect migrant workers?
I didn't do it, I swear.
Miss Ashley, why don't you take this one?
Can you repeat the question?
How did the Great Depression affect migrant workers?
It made all the farmers depressed, and that's why they call it the Great Depression.
Taylor.
As Mabel said earlier, during the 1930s, migrant labor was growing popular in the United States. When Depression hit, it caused big problems for inventors, employees, and migrant farm workers. In order to still pay bills, they would have to cut the migrant workers' pay by a couple cents, which was a lot at that time. Migrant workers also faced many other problems like unclean areas.
That's right, Tay-Tay.
Taylor, you're such a know-it-all.
At least I know how to answer the questions.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, yes, I did.
Guys, please stop fighting.
Smarter than you.
Ladies, what's the point in fighting, right?
Whatever.
Back on the topic of how certain occasions affected migrant workers. How did the Dust Bowl affect them?
Well, people abandoned their land due to the drought and dust storms. About 1/4 of the population had left. There was a decrease by 40% of the population. It is the largest migration in U.S. history. When they reached California, they did not receive a warm welcome. LA policemen sent 125 policemen to become bouncers for the state border. Life was as difficult as it was before. They worked by picking grapes and cotton. Their earnings range from 75 cents to $1.25 per day. 25 cents of that had to go to rent for their tar shacks without plumbing or electricity. Groups of vigilantes beat up the migrants. When they reached California, they set up little shack towns, which were called Little Oklahoma. They were sold for $3 to $5 per month. The houses were built of scraps with no plumbing or electricity again. Pollution caused things such as typhoid, malaria, smallpox, and tuberculosis. They still face discrimination, though, for long years. They were known as Okies and Arkies to all.
Good job. Now, what were the living conditions like for migrant workers? I'll give you a clue. They weren't good.
Not get paid much?
Yeah, and 61% were below poverty income.
That's because their payers took advantage of them.
They also worked in families.
It's too bad their houses were made of scrap with no plumbing and electricity.
Good teamwork, guys. Now for our final question. Are there still migrant workers or tenant farmers today?
There are no more tenant farmers. They disappeared in the 1940s and 50s.
This was because of the Agricultural Adjustment Act of 1933.
The farmers removed their tenant farming plots and in place bought equipment.
Workers, they're still living in harsh conditions today.
Work they do, most are still below poverty level.
Good talk today. Class dismissed.